We're going to do something a little different here. I want to watch the VTA board meeting. Now, keep in mind, the VTA is totally shut down now. There's no service. They've just abandoned their riders. They just shut down after that horrendous mass shooting. So the whole service is shut down. And so once again, we see why you should never, ever, ever allow yourself to be dependent on anything provided by the government, because they are not there for you. Okay? No, it's a terrible tragedy what happened there, but to just shut down the service, that's unbelievable. I can't believe it myself. So everything is shut down, but the board meeting is going on. So the board is not shut down, which I find incredibly interesting that that's going on. So what are they talking about, I wondered? What is it that they're doing over there? Let's hear it.
I see alternate member Lee Ying, you joined us. Can we do a quick mic check?
Yes, can you hear me? Thank you.
So, yeah.
And we miss it.
We
And I
miss
miss
her.
y'all.
We miss her.
Menominee, this is Glenn, and I just want to thank you for you coming and doing this. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. You're welcome. This is helping me, so thank you.
What do you mean?
Congresswoman Lofgren and Speaker Pelosi, and they wish to express their condolences as well. So you may want to add that to any comments that you're going to make on behalf of the family.
And we are live. Board members, I just want to let you know that we have already begun the webinar. Vice Chair Jones, can we do a quick mic check?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you. And alternate member Davis, can we do a quick mic check?
Hello.
Hi. And I see member Chavez and member Samidian has joined us. Can we do both quick mic checks?
Hey there.
Hi, thank you.
And this is Joe. Thanks, Samidian. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chair, this is Elaine. I believe we have a quorum now, right, Theodora?
1 second.
And Mayor Gilmore, if we can do a quick mic check, please.
What do you mean?
Lee? Lee Ng?
Here.
Thank you. Licardo? Montano? Paul?
Here.
Peralez?
Here.
Rennie?
Here.
Samidian? Samidian? I'll come back to you because I saw you earlier. Jones?
Here.
Hendricks?
Attendee.
Member Samidian?
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, I'm going to move on to orders of the day. First, I want to note how last Wednesday's tragic attack at the Guadalupe Light Rail Yard has broken our hearts. This horrific tragedy has caused us to lose 9 of our VTA family members. And I do not have the word.
The VTA family. Sounds familiar, doesn't it?
Words to ease the immense pain we're all feeling right now, particularly that of the families of the victims. Our sincerest condolences to the families, their colleagues, and those who have had the privilege to know them. Although we are mourning right now, we have to balance the need for us to meet to consider items that can't be deferred because they're time sensitive. And because of that, we've looked at our agenda and we have condensed it as much as we can. And so here are the changes that...
So the entire service is suspended, but there's items that are time sensitive. You know where this is going, right? I already can see where this is going, and I just started. So their entire service is suspended, but there's something going on at VTA that's time sensitive. Let's hear it.
That I'm proposing. So I'm going to try and go through these so everyone can follow along. There's many things we've changed. We're going to remove from today's agenda and move to a future board meeting the following items. Agenda items 4.2 are resolutions for BART's Silicon Valley Phase 2 project, and closed session items 9.1A, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation. These will be deferred to the June 18th board meeting. Agenda item 6.7, authorization to issue a request for offer at the Gilroy Transit Center, and agenda item 7.4, downtown design development framework for VTA block.
The capital projects are moving right along.
These will be deferred to the August 5th board meeting.
Yeah.
Proposing to move the following agenda items to the consent calendar item.
Okay.
7.2, review fiscal year 2021 statement of revenues and expense forecast.
Yeah, it's on.
7.5, presentation on the proposed labor agreement, PLA community workforce agreement. 7.6, receive Silicon Valley Rapid Transit SRVT program update will be moved to the consent agenda. Also, I believe board members Liccardo and Smidian requested to place the addendum to tonight's agenda, item 7.2X, clarification of 2016 Measure B expenditure decisions on consent, with a note that the resolution is amended to incorporate by reference the memo that they have submitted. I want to ask for the public's patience and understanding. We'll be limiting the public comment on items not on the agenda to 15 minutes tonight, and any persons who are not able to make their comments or public comment will have the opportunity to do so at the end of the agenda.
Right.
So I hope my colleagues were able to follow along with all of those changes I proposed. Are there any other changes from staff, or do my colleagues have any changes that they would propose? And I've got to fix my screen here so I can see raise hands and stuff. Give me just a moment. I'm not seeing any other comments or questions from my colleagues. I think we want to go now to see if there's any public comments, or do I do that here, or does it come later?
You can take public comment under orders of the day, Chair.
Yeah, I'll see if before I go to that, Member Blankley.
Yes, thank you, Chair. This is under public comment, and while item 6.7 has been moved to August 5th, I still want to bring awareness here to this board about the Gilroy Transit Center and this transit-oriented development that phase 1 alone, 150 units, is expected to generate only 87 bus trips and 26 daily trips for Caltrain, none of which is enough to add bus lines and trains to Gilroy to improve public transportation service to Gilroy residents, and yet removing parking. Housing will consume park and ride land that can only be replaced once high-speed rail is built out. And increasing services and ridership on both Caltrain and VTA buses is dependent on riders' ability to park and ride, and should be viewed with Gilroy's potential in mind as a key transportation hub for South County with rail bus connections in all directions. At only 471 existing spaces, the future of VTA's not yet transit center in Gilroy demands over twice that, long before Caltrain electrification, let alone high-speed rail, is a reality. Absent a simultaneous commitment from VTA to build a parking structure that maintains the parking potential that exists today on VTA-owned land, Gilroy and South County residents will be dependent on high-speed rail for a transit center that we deserve from VTA as a member of Santa Clara County. We need housing, but we need transportation too. One should not come at the expense of the other. Thank you, VTA. Solutions that move you. That's transportation the priority. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
They give you a whole minute over here. 1 whole minute. And of course, they're talking about capital. Of course, it's capital projects. Yeah. The money laundering machine continues uninterrupted.
I see some public has their hands raised. I would just ask that this would be comments on orders of the day. And if we can go to the public speakers.
Yes, and this is to confirm that this is for orders of the day, public comment. First, we have email. Oh, looks like we had some changes. Tessa, you may begin speaking when ready. Please accept the unmute.
Thank you so much. Well, I guess I just heard that, the head of the VTA board is mentioning that public comment could be at the end of the meeting and issues like that. So the order of the day is in regards to how we are really minimizing public comment and how probably.
Geez, and I thought Trimet was bad. Look at this. These motherfuckers only give you 1 minute. What the fuck?
Problematic that is in our democracy, and that when we are dealing with so many crises, that we need to have the public comment earlier in the day, and that sets the agenda really for the for our representatives, and that's where
You can't say anything in 1 minute. What a joke.
Matt Mahan, City of San Jose, is saying the solutions come from the bottom up. And that's where you're not promoting public comment is really a detriment to our survival, as we are such in the grips of so many crises that we need the public comment as critical.
Next, we have.
Whoa. Oh my God. VTA. Wow. What a corrupt organization this is.
A member from ATU, you may begin speaking when ready. Please accept the unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, my name is Shane Weinstein. I'm the president of Amalgamated Transit Union Local 1575. I represent the retired and active bus operators of Golden Gate Transit. I rise in solidarity today with ATU presidents from across the state and support our brothers and sisters from Local 265, whose hearts have been broken into a million pieces. Over the next 5 days, there's going to be 7 funerals for our brothers, which will undoubtedly make them relive each and every painful moment. Can you imagine? Can you imagine that? The answer is no. None of us can. In the words of President John Courtney, my good friend, to see his fellow sisters and brothers fight for retroactive hazard pay would, and I quote, help in the healing process. Well, John, I hope you're hearing this. We're here for you and your local, and we will continue to be. I personally was at that vigil, and although very somber, it was nice to see the love and support shine through from everyone. We can thank essential workers as much as we want, but that's just lip service. It's time that they receive compensation just like grocery store workers. I look to you, Cindy Chavez and Joe Simidian, who passed these ordinances throughout the county. It's 265's turn. If they don't deserve it, I don't know who does.
Before we go to our next speaker, first of all, thank you very much for those comments. This is just on orders of the day, the changes to the agenda, the public comment section.
These motherfuckers are worse than the Trimet board. They're worse. Much worse.
Action is coming, so please choose where you want to actually make your comments. The next speaker, please.
Yes, Roland, followed by Catherine, followed by NCS Wedlow. Roland, you may begin speaking when ready. Please accept the unmute.
This is fucking ridiculous. Come on.
Roland, please accept the unmute and you can begin speaking.
Accept the unmute, Miss Speaking.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
All right. So my comments relate to item 6.7. I'd like to second Mayor Blankley's comment and let everybody know that anybody who lives south of Tamian is in the same boat as Giro and Morgan Hill. On 7.6, this is getting beyond a joke. My recommendation to you is to reinstate the Silicon Valley Rapid Transit Committee, including all the historical material that got us into the mess that we're in. And my last comment on public comment is that common decency would have dictated that at today's meeting, you take public comment, adjourn, in memory of our lost colleagues, and table the rest of the meeting to a future meeting. Thank you.
Yeah, right.
Next, we have
a whole minute. Can you believe it? 1 whole minute. Wow.
Catherine, you may begin speaking when ready.
Hi, this is Catherine. I'm with the People's Transit Alliance of East Bay DSA. I'm speaking against changing the public comment to the end of the agenda, by my understanding. I don't understand why you're doing this.
You're doing it because I don't want to listen to you. Don't you understand? Trimet used to do that, but Trimet put it in the beginning, so they actually listen. So, shit, you people at VTA are making the Trimet board look like good. Okay, you're making them look really good.
We've prepared comments to be made at this time, and this seems like a real violation of just basic rules of transparency to the public. And I really recommend you not make these last minute changes without any notice in the future. And I just think this is highly inappropriate and highly unprofessional of this board to take this measure right now.
Sure is.
Before we go to the next speaker, I'll just go ahead and
look at how man, I am not going to be able to watch these people. This criminal organization is to another level of criminality.
repeat the comments I actually made, not that were misinterpreted. We are not moving public comments to the end of the meeting. We're only limiting it for how long public comments will go on. And if we have more public comments than that allotted time, those speakers would be taken at the end of the meeting. The next speaker, please.
NCS Wedlow, you may begin speaking when ready. Please accept the unmute.
Hello, my name is Nathan. I too am with the People's Transit Alliance of East Bay DSA. I'd like to echo what the last speaker said. I think it is completely inappropriate for this board to hold 15 minutes of public comment now and have the rest of the public comments be heard at the end of the meeting. All public comments should be heard now, given that that is what was on the agenda. And I agree that it seems like a complete violation of public transparency for this board to change an agenda so incredibly last minute when there are numerous public comments that are slated to be made at the beginning of this meeting at the time that was initially proposed. Please do not hear public comments at the end of this meeting, and please hear all public comments at the beginning of this meeting like it was listed on the agenda. Thank you.
Next, we have Jody, followed by Caesar, followed by Blair. Jody, you may begin speaking when ready. Please accept the unmute.
Yeah, I would also agree with some of the earlier speakers that by hearing public comment at the beginning, it can inform the board members of what the public is feeling, what the pulse is, and then how they can respond. The public
Jody, it looks like you muted yourself. You still have 34 seconds if you'd like to unmute and speak.
Oh my God.
Okay, Chair, I am going to go ahead and move on to the next speaker.
Okay.
Jesus Christ.
Caesar, you may, Blair, you may begin speaking when ready. Please accept the unmute.
Hi, thank you. Blair Beekman here. It is our good ideals, ideas, and practices that can help bring an openness, peace, and good thought for each of us and for each other in this difficult time of events around the VTA, and that can eventually help us better return to our regular schedules, patterns, and practices of a community. Good luck to ourselves at this time, how we can consider and bring our fears or failures and alone time and mourning that we can all have back into the sunlight of openness and good thought and what can be good community practices. I hope there can be an open dialogue how to return to light rail service to the everyday public in the next week instead of the next month. And I hope we can continue the good work of the past several months of how everyday community has been able to more honestly and openly talk about good practices of the ATU and the public meeting process. Thank you.
Chair, before I go to the next speaker, our board secretary, Elaine Baltal, would like to speak.
Yes. Hi, this is Elaine from the board office. Just a reminder to the members of the public who have their hands raised, just in case you just joined us right now, we're actually on item 1.2, which is orders of the day. The public comment is item number 3. So just wanted to make sure you're aware of that in case you just joined us. Thank you.
Next, we have Eugene, followed.
They demand you talk about the orders of the day only. We, the VTA executive class, only want you to talk about this because we're important and you're not.
By Ali, followed by Hoi An. You may begin speaking when ready, Eugene. Please accept the unmute.
Evening. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Evening, board members. This is Eugene Bradley, Silicon Valley Transit Users. I echo the comments that Will and several others made. I've already given my comments I'll speak more on the proposed budget. It's just that I don't know where possible this can be shortened, to at least defer later, but we need to just honor those who have been lost, unfortunately, on 5/26. Let's do that and then make sure we hear all the public comments before we take care of handle whatever business that can be possibly handled at a later time. Just thank you.
Okay, next we have Ali. You may begin speaking when ready. Please accept the unmute.
Hi, my name's Allie. I'm a transit rider, and I'm speaking to you to give retroactive hazard pay and benefits to our frontline transit workers. Our frontline transit workers.
They're not going to give the frontline workers shit because they are elites and they don't care about you. Okay, just look at these people. They're not in your world. They don't even want you to speak. They don't give a shit about any of you.
Workers have faced grave risk and personal trauma throughout the COVID crisis, well before last week's tragic mass shooting. In 2020, over 100 frontline workers tested positive for COVID, and 2 have passed away. ATU members who
Did you hear that? 2 BTU members passed away from COVID.
gave their lives in service to our community while the pandemic raged. All frontline transit workers deserve just compensation for the risks they've taken. Thank you.
You're damn right. Every fucking bus operator in every fucking transit district across the country should have been making double their wage during this shit. Said they got nothing. Nothing. I think there's a couple of agencies that actually gave their workers some bonuses.
Thank you. Jimmy, you may begin speaking when ready.
Hi, can you all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Jimmy. I'm a member of People's Transit Alliance. I'm here to make a public comment about giving transit operators, transit workers, hazard pay, back hazard pay. As you've heard from the previous public member of the public, they've been working, they've been put in grave danger. You know this, we talk about this all the time. They're publicized as heroes, they're talked about as heroes, but we don't treat them that way. I really think you need to move your priorities around and figure out how to give these people what they deserve. Thank you.
Catherine, you may begin speaking when ready.
Hi, thank you for clarifying this public comment period. I'm Katie, I'm with the People's Transit Alliance. I'm also speaking to urge you to give frontline transit workers hazard pay and benefits. Transit workers at BTA have put their health and life on the line during this pandemic. It's truly shocking and sad that 100 workers have tested positive for COVID and 2 have passed away. This risk that transit workers took in order to come to work is what hazard pay was made for. It was a quite literal hazard showing up to work over the past year. Transit workers make our buses run. There is no BTA without their labor. They are the most crucial part of this transit system.
Yeah.
This agency owes them for their
And every
loyalty
other
to this
transit
agency
system.
and to their community. BTA is receiving ARP funds for operations, so you can't reasonably say that you have no money for this critical purpose. So please, let's provide BTA workers with the compensation they deserve and have rightfully earned. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Chair, that concludes public comment.
Okay, thank you. Tonight's meeting will be adjourned in memory of our fallen VTA family members. May I have a motion and a second for approving the orders of the day?
Motion to approve the orders of the day.
Second. Okay, if there are no other comments or questions, could we please have a roll call vote?
Sure. Bert?
Yes.
This meeting goes on 2 hours.
Okay. So I'll call on Member Davis.
Yes.
Chavez.
Yes.
Constantine. Constantine. I'll come back to you. Jimenez,
Yes.
Ricardo,
Yes.
Montano,
Yes.
Paul,
Aye.
Peralez,
Yes.
Timidian,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Hendricks.
Yes.
I'll come back to Constantine. Okay, motion passed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, colleagues. Next, we're going to move on to remembering fallen VTA family members. At this time, I would like to recognize the 9 victims of last week's tragedy. I know many of you have read the moving tributes their families and friends have described in media reports, but I'd like to, as a board, make that formal recognition as well. Before I do that, I want to acknowledge and thank the many, many organizations, agencies, groups that have reached out to support VTA in this very difficult time. In particular, I'd like to thank AC Transit and Samtrans for their mutual aid from the very early stages of this horrific event, and that the administrative and communication staff at Caltrain and the County of Santa Clara, who are a tremendous help in offering their resources to deal with the overwhelming amount of media interest in this situation. A heartfelt thank you to everyone who reached out, supported, offered their services, and much more. It's really more than I can say, and we appreciate more than you can know. I also want to share that Congresswoman Lofgren and Speaker Pelosi shared
Robert
their
Romo's brother
for our 9 fallen colleagues. You've just seen some of them, and we're going to go through them, but my next 9 slides are about our 9 fallen coworkers. Abdul Wahab Al-Admandran, age 63, worked for VTA for approximately 20 years.
20?
He is known to friends, family, and coworkers as Abdi. He's remembered as a no-nonsense guy with a great work ethic who attended night school in his native Iran to gain the skills to pursue the American dream, which he achieved as a substation maintainer at VTA. He was laid to rest this afternoon at Chapel of the Chime Cemetery in Hayward, leaving behind his wife and 2 sons. 29-year-old Adrian Belyaza, a light rail operator and the youngest of the 9 victims, worked for VTA for 7 years. He warned his brother, a mechanic at Guadalupe, not to come to work as the gunman went on his deadly rampage. Described by light rail superintendent Yuani Singh as a gem of a person and very kind-hearted, Adrian leaves behind a wife and a 2-year-old son.
Terrible.
Funeral services for Adrian are scheduled for Monday, June 7th at Gilroy Gardens. Alex Fritsch, a substation maintainer, 49 years old, father of 3 children and a husband to Tara, worked for VTA for 9 years.
You think he's
Alex lived life with gusto.
Do you think he's choking
as
up?
he and his wife were.
Come on. You think he's choking up because he's sorry, or is it an act?
Pursued a jovial hobby of creating the perfect tiki bar in their backyard. Alex was the last of the 9 to pass away after being taken to the hospital. He died later that night on May 26th. Alex will be laid to rest on Tuesday, June 8th. Jose de Jesus Hernandez III, 35 years old, also a substation maintainer,
Do they know them?
and a
or-
second-generation VTA employee whose father worked here as well. Jose worked for VTA for 9 years. His passions included playing the guitar and singing, and he loved spending time at Lake Tahoe. Friends say Jose would give you the shirt off his back. Funeral arrangements for Jose are pending. Lars Kepler Lane. His nickname was Kepi. At 63 years old, he performed one of the most dangerous jobs in the rail industry as an overhead line worker for the electrical light rail lines. Lars worked for VTA for 20 years. Remembered as someone with a great sense of humor, with 3 children and several grandchildren. Lars spent the early part of his career as a car mechanic, later moving to VTA. In 2021, as an electromechanic, moving on to overhead line worker. Lars will be laid to rest Friday, June 4th. Paul de la Cruz Magia, 42 years old, the father of 3 children and 1 stepson.
Terrible.
An assistant superintendent for service management with an infectious smile, Paul saved the life of his co-worker by directing her to lock herself inside his office
Oh, boy.
as he went to warn others about the deadly rampage. Paul also worked for VTA for 20 years. Remembered as a friendly, hardworking colleague, he started his career at VTA as a bus operator, working his way through several positions before landing in management. Funeral arrangements for Paul are pending. In just one moment, please. Timothy Michael Roma, age 49.
That's Robert Romo. There he is. That's Robert Romo's brother.
Like Paul Magia and Michael Rudimetkin, Timothy was a mentor to other VTA employees beginning their careers through the Joint Workforce Investment Partnership with ATU and Mission College. Timothy worked for VTA for 22 years. He would lay to rest on Monday, June 7th in Tracy. We heard Michael Rudimetkin's name here from one of our board members, the close childhood friend of our fellow board member and San Jose City Council member, Raul Peralez. Michael worked for VTA for 8 years. Michael was 40 years old, an overhead line worker and mentor with JWI, with a talent for fixing car engines, motorcycles, and almost anything you put in front of him. Funeral services for Michael are pending. And the last of our 9 fallen co-workers, Tabjeet Singh, 36 years old, father to 2 small children. He worked for VTA for 7 years. The story of Tapjay's bravery in trying to warn others of the deadly attack are widely known by now. He had a love of sports, motorcycles, and was known as someone always looking for ways to help others. Funeral services for Tapjay are scheduled for June 5th. Menominee McCarter, public communications specialist, will now sing a great Amazing Grace to honor our fallen colleagues.
You're going to sing a song?
Amazing grace.
Who's that?
How sweet
Menominee.
the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind,
Where is it?
but now I see.
Where is it?
Through many dangerous toils and snares, we have already come. Was grace that brought us safe.
Who's that woman? She's not on the board.
And grace will lead us home.
Menominee, thank you very much.
Menominee.
I'd now like to ask for a moment of silence for our fallen colleagues, who we will always remember. Thank you, everyone. I have a few more comments I'd like to make. Now that we again have heard the names of our fallen colleagues, I want to say again how sorry we all are for the terrible tragedy that's been fallen on the VTA family and the victims' families. There are no words that can be said to express the pain, sorrow, and tragedy of this event. I've come to realize over the last 8 days that words are not a sufficient medium to really communicate with each other. I would like to assure the public, the families, and the employees that VTA is doing everything within our powers to assist the grieving families and our grieving employees. We are very thankful to the outpouring of support from the public, other transit agencies, and unions near and far that have reached out to us and offered their support. We are all very appreciative. I can't go further without recognizing and thanking the first responders, the volunteers, our VTA staff, county staff, ambulance staff, San Jose Fire, San Jose Police, and Sheriff's personnel. Everyone just kicked in right away to deal with the crisis. And I want to specifically call out the 3 San Jose PD officers and the 2 sheriff officers that formed a team to stop the sheriff.
Do you think this guy is for real, or is this some kind of act? I mean, I know you can feel bad for people, but to get the tears going, you kind of have to know them. I mean, I wonder if he's for real.
I think most of us have now seen the initial video that has been released. If that is not heroism, I don't know what is. They are clearly an awesome example of what it means to be a first responder. I am proud of them. I'm sure their agencies are proud of them, and our public should be proud of them as well. Excuse me. Coming back to our employees. As an organization, we are working to make sure our actions match our tone and message. The general manager has given direction, and I fully support it, that as we try and balance is not really the good word for what I mean, but as we try and balance supporting the families and our employees and also providing service to our customers. If we are to err, we will err on supporting our families and employees. We understand what this means to our riding public, and we ask for patience as we navigate the healing path we are on. We started an every other day meeting with a couple board members, VTA senior leaders, and union leadership. This meeting is to facilitate communication and feedback. The purpose is to get feedback so that we are fully supporting the employees and get feedback if we need to make adjustments. And so far, these meetings have been very productive. Also this afternoon, we just held a town hall with all the VTA people managers and supervisors to communicate these same messages of how we believe people should be treated and to get their feedback. We are also planning on holding multiple town halls for the entire staff, and these are still in the planning stages. I just wanted to share those few words with you about this horrible event and what we are doing to assist our people. I do have one request to the public. When you're out and about and you see a VTA employee or other transit worker, please give them a wave and a smile, because a smile is a very powerful thing. And in closing this section of the meeting, I believe many of you heard one of my comments last Thursday. My family has this little thing we do where we write haiku. And I shared one that I wrote before, and I've written another one. It's one of my ways for coping with what's going on. Smiles are powerful. Give happiness to others. Share much joy with them. Okay, we're now going to move on to public comments. And Chappie, I didn't ask you about this before, but could you please handle the public comment section for me for the time being? Chappie, are you there?
Yes, Chair. Yes.
Thank you.
I will take it over. Okay, so
We're moving to public comments. So
what now? What public?
Yes, I will call the first speaker.
There's more speakers?
Yes, please.
Well, they do things strange over here.
This is for public comment, agenda item number 3. Blair, followed by Joe, followed by Yvonne. Blair, you may begin speaking when ready.
Hi, thank you. To try again with my speech, sorry. It is our good ideas and ideals and practices that can help bring an openness, peace, and good thought for each other in this difficult time of events around the VTA, and that can eventually help us better return to our regular schedules, practices, patterns, and routines as a community. I hope there can be an open dialogue how to return light rail service to an everyday public in the next week instead of the next month. And I hope we can continue the good work of the past several months, how everyday community, VTA staff, and VTA BOD committee persons have been talking more honestly and openly about the good practices of the ATU in the public meeting space. Thanks today to the people of public comment. It has become a regular process that they allow public comment for only 15 minutes and then have it at the end of the meeting. They've done that for months now. If you want to be upset about it, write them letters. They have a whole public meeting process they've been working on.
An apologist. There you go. A VTA apologist. To Trimet's credit, they moved it from the last part of the meeting to the beginning of the meeting. I think Trimet looks good compared to these people. That's my impression.
It's time to really ask them about this process as a...
Next.
And see what they do here? When your 1 minute is up, they cut up your microphone. They don't do that at Trimet. Man, I have a whole new respect for the Trimet. That's the first meeting I've watched the New York City meeting. Those are pretty cool. MTA, those are pretty funny to watch. These people here, I don't like the way they do business. Shit, I thought Trimet was bad, but now Trimet's good compared to this.
Next we have Joe. You may
And Trimet doesn't cut off your microphone either. Okay, they don't do that.
begin speaking when ready.
I mean, they just cut you off here.
Thank you, VTA Board, for having me. Joe Kunstler here.
It's Joe!
First,
it's
I
Joe!
want to thank Chair Hendricks for his courageous, thoughtful statements tonight. I'm a regional transit advocate, and I recognize Board Member Cindy Chavez, who I have a very high opinion of, and whose leadership the past week has been nothing short of outstanding. The same for the rest of you, and especially Monica Malone. I really want to stress the
importance. That's our buddy Joe from Seattle.
Yeah, I was at virtually an Intertransit Board meeting, and they're having mental health issues with their operators as well. And I really think it's important to prioritize mental health right now in this pandemic, in the lockdowns and the isolation and the high demands of transit operators need to be focused on. They deserve hazard pay, and they deserve it now, respectfully. And one last thing with a few seconds left. I hope that the light rail facility can return when it's safe. May God protect all of our transit operators and other personnel.
Yvonne, you may begin speaking when ready. Please accept the unmute.
Yes, good evening. My name is Yvonne Williams, and I'm a retired president of ATU Local 192 and a 41-year member of ATU. I rise in support of our brothers and sisters at ATU 265 and in support of their courageous president, John Courtney. This tribute tonight that was presented at the board has really summed up why transit workers, but particularly ATU 265 at this time, certainly deserves retroactive hazard pay. And they deserve all other support that could be possibly available to them. The tribute speaks to why ATU 265 must have retroactive hazard pay and have it now. In my 41 years of being a member of the union, ATU, I never thought I would live to see something like this. And in John Courtney's words, just love each other, support each other. And my condolences go out to everyone.
Oh, they didn't cut her off.
Call you may begin speaking when
Oh,
ready.
they did cut her off. Yeah, I think if there ever was a time to actually hand out the hazard pay, this would be it. Okay, this is kind of like the most drastic example of a situation that requires hazard pay. This, what happened here, an employee went nuts and killed other employees. I mean, Jesus, you have any morality at all, you're going to hand out some money to the rest of the people working over there.
Cool. Please accept the unmute and begin speaking when ready. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next public speaker. Roland, you may begin speaking when ready.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Well, this attempt to limit public comment was the final straw. So I'm going to get straight to the point and address myself to the chair, introduce him to Newton Third's law, which is for every action, there is a reaction. Starting with the chair's midterm performance evaluation, we started with the resignation of the CFO, the resignation of the CEO, a crippling cyber attack, the worst mass murders in the history of Northern California, and now a collapse of our entire transit system. In closing, I would like to remind this board that the FBI is on site, and anyone familiar with the Mohammed Nuru affair knows that it only takes one bird to stop singing, and the entire house will come down like a pack of cards. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of the meeting.
That was a good comment. That was good.
Tessa, you may begin speaking when ready. Please accept the unmute. Tessa, please accept the unmute.
Yes, hi, thank you. I don't see, oh, there's my 1 minute. Okay, good. You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Well, I was just thinking that basically we've got to change everything, basically, and that the thing of not listening to the public is really critical. And I think we're seeing, when we saw a lot of the protesting that was happening, it was because our government is not listening. When we're seeing in our workplaces that people are going postal and having problems with their workplace, we're not listening to each other.
Yep.
So that has to change. And I think being an example of that through a lot of public discourse that we need to have, and that to put our public comment at the end is really a problem, because people are scheduled to be here and you should be honoring that instead of saying you have to wait to the end of the meeting. So, not only should we be giving them more pay, we have to change the type of system to make it a healthier system. That's why we need to really...
Cut! You motherfuckers! You fucking assholes! What a bunch of fucking shitheads! Oh my God! Oh my God! What disrespectful shitheads! Wow!
Hi, and hello everyone. I'm Simon O, a resident of Campbell for more than 6.5 years. I'm also an employee at neighboring Samtrans. Speaking of personal capacity here tonight. My hearts really do go out to everyone, the whole VTA family. And having been living up here for almost 7 years, VTA has been part of my life. I've got to know so many people that work there, from operations staff to those River Oaks, and they're all great people that have kept me going through times that were good and times that were bad. And I'll still be here to support everyone and the people that really run this great system. Once again, my heart goes out to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Arlena, followed by Miguel, followed by Alita. Arlena, please begin speaking when ready.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, hello. Thank you everyone for having me. My name is Arlena Wong. I
and I'm part of the Students for Environment and Equity at De Anza College. Currently, I live in Tracy, California. Transit is important to me because sometimes I don't have access to a car and need transit to get around. My family and friends ride transit sometimes too. Transit is important for different peoples, especially for the elderly, lower income students and citizens and those who do not have access to a car. Many students at De Anza College are low-income students and need transit to get to their intended destinations. Also, about half of the students are commuters, meaning many need transportation to get to college. Although there may not seem to be many passengers, now research has shown that when transit is readily available, the number of users increases. Therefore, since De Anza College is planning to open up in fall 2021, I urge the VTA to restore bus services so that the students and other citizens can commute easily. Thank you so much.
Right on the money. 1 minute.
Miguel, you may begin speaking when ready. Please accept the unmute.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good evening, Board of Directors. My name is Miguel Navarro Jr. I'm President, Business Agent of Local 1574 in Foster City. What do I want to say? I want to stand with my brother, John Courtney from Local 265 during this horrific tragedy that happened last week. I'm urging the board to pay these members of ATU Local 265 retroactive hazard pay. They've been on the front line since day one, March of last year, moving the county of Santa Clara. The board got to do the right thing and pay these members what's right, what they deserve and what's coming to them during these horrible, terrific times. Thank you very, very much for your time.
And before the next speaker speaks, the last speaker will be Eugene Bradley. So just want to give everybody a time check.
Okay, thank you. Alita, you may begin speaking when ready.
Thank you to the chair. Alita Dupree for the record. My pronouns are she and her. VTA is important to me. I'm just an ordinary user of public transportation. My experience with VTA is fairly short, but I grew up on the New York City subway and started riding it in 1970. So this is not new to me. I submit to you that we are in the month of June and it is Pride Month. And I ask that you be an agency that is willing to acknowledge that. And I was fortunate to have met Nuria Fernandez several years ago, and she showed me true equity and welcome and invited me to come and experience VTA. And now Nuria is continuing to do really great work in Washington. And I remember her as not just a great example of a leader, but also as a friend. This leadership of equity and welcome has to come from the top. I ask that you as a board practice equity and welcome.
Cut him off.
Jody, you may begin speaking when ready.
What a
Please
joke.
unmute.
What a joke. The fucking public comment is a joke.
Hi, my name's Jyoti, and I'm a member of the East Bay DSA. One significant feature of the pandemic was a reevaluation of what essential work means. Workers who previously played invisible roles became heroes, including grocery workers, public sanitation workers, in our context, transit workers. It was and has continued to be recognized that these workers have been risking their lives in order to provide vital services, and this risk is why these workers are considered heroes. We've seen billboards celebrating our heroes, articles, and radio announcements, and we've also seen hazard pay. While VTA has a budget surplus from relief funding, I would encourage VTA in investing in these heroes. Provide back hazard pay, provide support for mental health services, recognize the strain that a lot of these workers have been under throughout this whole year, and pay compensation. We can celebrate our heroes as much as we want through public announcements, but by providing back hazard pay, we truly support them in the material conditions of their lives. So I would encourage VTA board to promote that. Thank you.
Cut them off! Just cut them off!
Wedlow, Keith, and Eugene.
It's so
Will be
disrespectful.
next. NCS Wedlow, you may begin speaking when ready.
Hi, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Nathan, and I'm an organizer with the People's Transit Alliance of East Bay DSA. Thank you so much for recognizing the fallen with your words and public showing of emotion just now. It truly is a devastating time. It's time that this board approved back hazard pay to all VTA transit workers now. There was ever a time to do more than pay lip service to the heroics of our frontline transit workers. That time is now. It bears accenting that the mass tragedy that occurred about a week ago happened on a VTA worksite and exclusively affected transit workers. The range of dangers that transit workers have faced for this past year plus during this pandemic truly has known no bounds, ranging from VTA management instituting a front door boarding policy as COVID cases were surging, despite VTA workers repeatedly telling VTA employers that this would be unsafe, to anomalous and devastating tragedies that happened just last week. The bottom line is that VTA workers must be compensated like the heroes that they are in the form of back hazard and hero pay. Please approve this as soon as possible.
Cut them off.
Keith, you may begin speaking when
And then
ready.
just go right to the
Set
next
unmute.
one. Good evening, board. My name is Keith Brown. I'm the president of the Alameda Labor Council, and I'm here to offer my support and solidarity with our union siblings in ATU 265, and just want to embrace them during this time, and also to urge this board to offer our frontline transit workers a package of retroactive hazard pay and benefits. Our frontline transit workers are the foundation of our communities. They have really provided an essential role during the pandemic, and now more than ever, we must invest in our frontline transit workers. So please,
Eugene is our final speaker. You may begin speaking when ready.
Good evening, board members. This is Eugene. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes. I agree with the prior speakers that I was moved by the presentation that VTA made to honor our fallen VTA workers that were unfortunately were slaughtered on 5/26/2021. That's a date that will live in infamy in Silicon Valley, folks, just like 7/28/2019 with the Gilroy Garden Festival massacre and shooting. Those are dates that are going to live in infamy. I'll address the need for VTA to really pay these workers the hazard pay and benefits that they need now. I'll address that in a separate action item. Again, I was moved with the presentation. And frankly, VTA just needs to settle everything with the workers, give them what they need, and then just table the rest of this meeting. Because I don't think anybody's in shape to continue. So, thank you.
Vice Chair, thank you for taking that over for me. I see there's just one more person in the queue. Let's take that person right now. Anyone else will take at the end of the meeting.
Abu Bakar, you may begin speaking when ready.
Sure, thank you. Hi, members of the board. This is Asen or Abu Bakar NTI. I'm a San Jose District 3 resident. I'm just here to express my love, support, and condolences for the fallen and for members of ATU 265. I also just want to say that these frontline workers were also the backbone and support for other frontline workers who needed to get to work during this crisis. And those were the workers that we all depended on in grocery stores and at stores so that we could stay fed throughout this entire crisis.
Sure.
And the second thing I would say is that I fully and totally support back hazard pay for our workers who were there for us. And I just, again, want to express my support and condolences for the families of the fallen. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, again, thank you to all our speakers. Again, Vice Chair, thanks for stepping in for me on that section. I'm going to move on now to public hearings. These are the items that we needed to go ahead and get done today. The next item on our agenda is item 4. We're going to go to 4.1, which is to adopt a resolution. Number 1, directing that the VTA board, subsequent to a public hearing,
Okay, look. Okay. Here we go. Okay. Nothing stops this capital projects agenda. Adopt a resolution directing the VDA financing to be undertaken by the blah blah will result in bullshit. Approve the proposed refinancing of 2 revolving credits totaling $200 million. So everything else is capital projects related. I can't hold that, of course. Everything has to get paid. Doesn't matter, people died, but we got to get paid. We got to keep that fucking pork rolling. I can't listen anymore of this. It's pretty shocking how badly they treat their public. I'm pretty shocked by that. I've never seen a district do that before, where they just cut you off and just go immediately to the next speaker.